Hey there, it's Dave with Flipperforce. Got open our software roadmap. Just going to provide a quick update on what we've been working on the last few weeks and what we've got planned for the next few weeks and the start of 2021 here. So I've got our software roadmap open here. You can access that from our Flipperforce website here by going to features and then going down to software roadmap. And as you can see, for the last couple of weeks, we've been launching some infrastructure work improvements, some just kind of general usability stuff, some stuff in the background that you guys probably won't really see, but hopefully will improve the overall performance and usability for you on the front end of the app. We also revamped the contact manager, so made some improvements to the contact manager, added in some new functionality for you so that way you can sort and filter your contacts, you can export your contacts to a CSV spreadsheet, stuff like that. And then we made some improvements to the user management. So we added in project level access control that you can use to control invited user access to your workspace. So that way you can control what projects those invited users have access to in your Flipperforce workspace. So what we've got going on moving forward is we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks some new Flip Analyzer improvements. So I'm just going to show you that here real quick, show you what we're working on. This is just kind of a prototype that I've built. I'm not a developer, but I do a lot of the front end development stuff just to help our developers build everything out. So you can see this is the new Flip Analyzer. One of the first major changes that we're making to it is instead of each step, so there's 6 steps here, which gets a little bit long. Instead of each of those steps being on their own separate page, now you'll be able to quickly navigate between those steps without doing a page load and stuff like that. So instead of all those steps being on 6 separate web pages, you can now toggle back and forth quickly in between each of those steps. So hopefully that'll just kind of be a user improvement for you there. Another major change that we're going to be making is to the way that the buying costs, holding costs, and selling costs are calculated for the detailed amount. So right now, I don't really like how it's designed right now. There's not a lot of clarity on the overall calculations that you got going on here. So we're adding in a total column over here so that way you can see the total amount that's being calculated. So for example, on this excise tax, which is being 1% of the purchase amount, you can see what that's being calculated as, and you can see what that total sum is of all of these line items that we've got in the detailed amount. And I think that's going to make that whole detailed process a lot more improved for you for the buying costs, holding costs, and selling costs. So we'll be revamping that. Another thing you'll notice is we're going to be adding in a new rehab period and sales period area just for you to track those different timelines on your schedule. So now you can set up how long you think it's going to take to actually renovate the property, and then you can also input the sales period. So once you actually do get the property renovated, you can input the number of months it's going to take for the property to get listed, get an offer accepted, and then finally hand over the keys to the homeowner who bought the property. Next, another major area that we'll be revamping is the financing. So you'll notice that we kind of changed up our design of the funding strategy. It'll be the same where you can do a cash purchase or you can do a loan, and then you can set up 3 different loans. But one of the major changes that we've got going on here is the loan to value calculations. So you'll notice that you can select the loan amount based upon those previous inputs that you've inputted in here, the purchase, the repair amount, and then purchase plus repairs. So some lenders will lend on 80% of the purchase amount and then 100% of the rehab. In the current way that our loan and financing setup is set up, you can't really set that up. You got to set up 2 loans in order to really build that out. With our new layout, you can set up 2 different LTV percentages. So you'll see on the purchase amount, we're just going to get an 80% loan to value ratio of the 100,000. So our loan amount is going to be 80, and then the lender is going to provide us with a 100% loan to value ratio on the repairs amount. So now you can see our total loan amount is going to be $115,000. So I think that'll be a better loan setup situation than what we currently have. Another thing that we've got reworked is you'll be able to do some drop-down menus here, whether you're wanting to do it as a percentage of the loan amount or a dollar amount. So that's another feature that some users had requested. So Hopefully, if you want to get really detailed and input the actual dollar amounts that your lender is going to be charging, you can set that up instead of using it as a percentage. And then finally, advanced loan options. So this is going to be another new feature that's going to allow you to better reflect when your cash outlays are going to be happening for the property. So when are your points going to be paid? Some lenders want those points paid up front, or can they be paid on the back end when you go to sell the property at loan payoff? When is the interest going to be paid? Is it going to be paid monthly, or is it going to be paid again at the end of the project when you pay off the loan? And then rehab funds. So is the lender going to provide the rehab funds up front, or are they going to provide the rehab funds as draws as the property gets renovated? So this advanced loan options, I'll show you this here shortly. It will allow you to get a better cash picture of how all of your capital is being spent, and then what your cash outlays are going to be for some of these different loan amounts and stuff like that. So, and then finally, you get here to the desired profit results page here. We just kind of did a little bit of a revamp to the overall formatting, but ultimately, this will all lead to our new results page. So let me get that typed in here. I had that set up. Okay, our new results page here. So this is going to be a new revamp that we're doing to the results page, which kind of reflects some of the stuff that we've done on the step-by-step process here. One of the first things that we added was the project timeline. So this will just kind of tell you, okay, what is my project timeline at? It's 4 months right now for the renovation and 2 months for the sales price. If you want to edit that, you'll be able to edit that here. That'll just kind of show you what the overall schedule is for the project. And then you get into your detailed flip analysis results. So the first project returns, this is going to be what your profit results are based upon a known purchase price. And then you've got your recommended maximum purchase price based upon the amount of desired profit that you want to make in the deal. So there's really two calculations that are going on when you enter all of this data. It's calculating the profit results based upon a known purchase price. Right now, we're purchasing the property for $100,000. Well, if we want to make $30,000, the app's telling us that we should really offer $102,000. So we're close there on that, but that can just kind of be a way for you to compare what the current profit is in the deal and compare that to how much profit you actually want to make and what that recommended maximum purchase price should be that you offer for the property. Project capital, this is another new tab that's going to give you a better indication of when all of your project capital is going to need to be spent on the project, as well as when you're going to be receiving those loans and funding for the project. So you can see this is a project cost over time. So you can see at closing, when we purchase the property for $100,000 here, we're going to also pay about $3,000 in buying costs. And then we're going to be paying some points and other costs up front. So our total project costs are going to be $105,000 up front. And then over the course of the 6-month rehab, you can see how your other capital is going to be outlaid. So we've got a 4-month renovation period. Our total renovation budget is $35,000. We're going to be spending that over 4 months. So that's $8,750 per month. So you can see how that cash is going to be spent over time during the renovation. Our total holding costs, so these are going to be like your property taxes, insurance, maintenance, stuff like that you got to pay while you're holding the property. You can see that's for the entire duration. So we've got $800 a month for the overall 6-month rehab holding period. And then you've got your interest payments. So if we go back to the financing section where you can set up how those interest payments are being paid, right now we've got it selected as monthly, so we're paying those interest payments on a monthly basis. But if we had selected at loan payoff, this would be a lump sum amount getting paid back here on month 6 when we go to sell the property and pay off the loan. And then you can see how that affects your project capital and cash over time. So again, we're just kind of pulling these project costs down here, but you can see we're receiving one loan for 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab. So 80% of the purchase price, that's only $80,000, but you can see we need $105,000 up front. So the net is going to be a $25,000 cash outlay. So the project cash that we need at closing is going to be $25,000. And then you can see all the other project costs that we're going to be spending over the course of the next 4 months during the renovation, and then the rest of the holding period here. So that's those values here. So we're going to be spending around $10,500 a month during the renovation, and we're going to be receiving our rehab funds as rehab draws. So again, if we went back to that advanced section of the financing, we would have had that set up as receiving these as rehab draws. So you can see we're receiving that $8,750 each month, and our net is basically going to be the holding costs and the interest payments here. So you can see we are receiving a loan amount of $8,750 each month to help pay off those rehab costs that we've got, but we're still going to have to come out of pocket about $1,700 to pay off the miscellaneous holding costs and then our interest payments that we got to pay our lender. So I think that's going to provide a lot more clarity on how the project capital is spent over time, and then also help you understand how the cash outlay that you're going to need for the project will need to be provided for this project. And then you'll also be able to see how much cash you're going to need. So again, just as a recap, all in project costs, we've got $150,000. We're receiving $115,000 in funding. Our cash at closing was $25,000. And then our total cash in the deal, after we take into account all the additional expenses we got to pay during that 6-month holding period, makes it total cash in deal of $35,860. And then this just provides a little bit more detail on the loan that we had used here, but you can kind of see the overall information of the loan amount, monthly payment, interest only loan, 80% of purchase, 100% of rehab, 12% interest rate, 6 months. And then finally, we added a new rehab tab. So this is going to just kind of show a summary of your detailed repair estimate that you put together using the repair estimator. Just kind of show you an overview, so that way if you want to quickly review all of your repair costs without having to go back to the repair estimator and review it there, you can do that there to review your rehab estimated costs. So a lot of changes to the Flip Analyzer. I think these are going to really improve the overall and general just usability of the app, but also add in some powerful new tools for you to help get a better understanding of when your capital is going to be needed and when your cash outlay is going to be needed and how much money you're going to need to fund the deal. And then finally, we are going to be adding in some new default analysis settings. So for those of you that, and this has been asked quite a few times, but for those of you that would like to set up your own default settings, you can set those up here. So that way, every time you log into the Flip Analyzer and analyze a new deal, all of these pre-built buying costs are already set up for you, or all of your holding costs are already set up for you on what your average typical deal is going to be. Same thing with your selling costs, your financing costs. You can set up your general terms that you have on all of your projects, and then you can obviously tweak those if you need to, and then your desired profit, stuff like that. So that'll be another time saver for you, just to kind of help you analyze your deals even quicker than ever before. And then finally, the last thing that we've got coming out here probably in January, this is going to be another pretty large build. We're going to be launching a new rental calculator. So you can see this rental calculator can be used for analyzing just traditional rental deals, or it can be used for analyzing buy, rehab, and rent deals. So this is something that we're going to be pushing into, is more focus on those investors that are buying and rehabbing, but instead of flipping, they're going to be renting out their properties long term. So we have a lot of clients that, do some flips, but they also buy and rehab and then rent out some properties long term to take advantage of those long term passive income opportunities there. So this tool will be, kind of similar to our new Flip Analyzer tool that we are going to be revamping. It'll be kind of the same layout. Usually when you're analyzing a BRRRR deal or a buy, rehab, rent, you're really going to be kind of analyzing the initial phase similar to a flip. So you're trying to buy a property, a distressed fixer-upper property at a discount, and then you're trying to increase the property value by making smart renovations to the property, so that way you can build in some sweat equity into the deal. So you'll see, this step-by-step process is going to be very similar to the flip analyzer tool that we've got set up, because you're really trying to calculate, how much equity can I build into this deal by buying a property at a discount and then making smart renovations to the property. So that process is going to be similar to the flip analyzer, but then there's a second factor, so a second phase of a buy, rehab, and rent, and that's the rental income, the operating expenses, stuff like that. So you'll be able to set up your rental income in here. So you'll be able to set up multiple units. So if you're just doing a single family, or if you are doing a duplex, triplex, quadplex, really, I don't know that we're necessarily going to have a limit on the number of units. So really, you could probably set up 10 plus units here if you want to. Calculate your total rental income here, your vacancies, your gross operating income, stuff like that. You'll also be able to calculate your operating expenses here if you want to do it based upon just a percent of rent, or if you want to get as detailed as possible and really itemize each individual operating expense, you can do it that way. That'll calculate your net operating income that you got on the property. You could input, a capital expenditure allowance for ongoing major renovations that you may need to make, but hopefully if you've done a nice rehab at the beginning, you won't have any capital expenditures for a long time. You can also set up a refinance loan. So depending on what you set up for the financing strategy here, you'll be able to just do kind of a traditional buy and hold, where you buy it with conventional funding, or you'll be able to do a refinance where maybe on the initial phase you are financing it with a bridge loan or just a cash purchase, and then you'll be able to refinance that loan with a long-term low interest rate amortized loan. So and then finally you can set up some future assumptions here. So that's what we are going to be working on. So I'm excited about the flip analyzer changes that we're making. That's going to help us get all of this set up for the new rental analyzer. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing over there on the flip analyzer, we'll be able to reuse that on our new BRRRR calculator, and then we'll have some nice rental results page for you, so that way you can see how the property is going to be cash flowing over time. That'll all build into a deal analysis report, rental investment report. So we've got a lot of work to do to get all of this new rental stuff launched, but that'll hopefully open up the software to all of our users that are not only fixing and flipping houses, but also buying, rehabbing, and then renting out properties long term. So hopefully you like these new features. It'll be a couple weeks before we get that new flip analyzer launched. Then we'll be moving into the rental calculator here, getting that launched. And then after that, we've got some other global accounting reports, strategies, comparison tool, repair estimator enhancements. Those are going to be some pretty nifty stuff, what we're going to be doing to that repair estimator. So I'm going to be excited to share that stuff with you. And then we'll be getting into some project management tools, a bid manager tool, material manager tool. That's another one that's been requested a lot by a lot of users. So I think for the first couple months of 2021, we're going to be busy, and we're going to have a lot of new and exciting tools coming your way. So let us know if you have any questions or feedback. Thanks. Bye.